We've had this thing for 7 years now. It's time to move on! Thankfully, it seems like we just might, but there's a big cause of concern when it comes to another Nintendo console. Will there be another Switch? Will it be something different? Will it use the letter U to signify a sequel? Because that'd honestly be hilarious if they did that twice. Rumors are flooding places like Reddit and Twitter, and it's got everyone and their moms jittering in their seats like, come on, give us something already! We know that this new console is going to be revealed in 2024, and may actually also be released sometime in the fall. The company behind Game Shark, now known as AI Shark Gross, revealed in a press release that it might actually be set to release during September. Even if that isn't true, you can't deny that a lot of these rumors aren't really out there and wild besides that one mock-up. It's also looking like Nintendo isn't being all too secretive with this console either. It was showcased at tech shows and people weren't really told to keep quiet about it. There was a report that development kits were handed out for it, and ultimately, this doesn't feel so up in the air as previous Nintendo consoles were. That's if these rumors are actually true though. We've heard nothing from Nintendo officially, but if we take all this information as if it were real, well then I think it's safe to say that there's a lot of questions and possible concerns with this new console. Like, what's its name? Is it gonna be powerful enough? Will it still be a hybrid console? And that last one feels pretty consistent among these rumors, because with the release of the Switch came a newfound love of handheld gaming.
Gone is the separation between church and state.
They have seemingly combined into one entity. It seems like every company has their own way of offering gaming on the go. From the Switch to the Steam Deck to the ROG Ally to even the iPhone now offering AAA titles natively. Nintendo always dominated the handheld market, even before the Switch was ever conceptualized. It was often the thing that kept their sales up. So to focus the next console on that same selling point would only make sense, especially with all the competition out now. While people see Nintendo going head to head with the PS5 and Series X, ultimately it isn't what Nintendo should be trying to compete with. Because yeah, while this is considered a home console, majority of people use it out of its dock. Now other devices like the Steam Deck can be docked. I mean, that thing can be a full-on desktop if you wanted to, but for me, it isn't as seamless as the Switch is. But while Nintendo bridges that gap between handheld system and home console, they are seriously behind when it comes to specs and overall power of their hardware. The Switch is behind, more behind than a lot of people realize. I mean, the console was more comparable to the PS3 rather than the PS4, and we're in the market for the PS5. This thing cannot compete with Sony's huge Wi-Fi router. Even other handheld systems like the Steam Deck are way more powerful, being able to run the newest titles at smoother frame rates, higher resolutions, all while looking 10 times better. There's a reason why games like Elden Ring aren't on this console. The Switch handles Mortal Kombat 1 like how my body handles exercising. I only did a single push-up here. There are rumors that the next Nintendo console is going to be as powerful as a base PS4, and that kind of sucks. But maybe it's not as bad as what a lot of people are making it out to be. Like, yeah, we'd want the new console to be as powerful as the mini fridge and the popped Scarlet Tower, but has this generation utilized this new hardware well? I feel like remasters of PS4 games to PS5 haven't looked all too impressive. Like, yeah, they changed the lighting and then maybe they add some more performance to it. And then they also spend $40 million doing this. But let's actually think about what's different within this generation and what actually has improved besides the graphics. I think the biggest change the new generation got was the use of NVMe SSDs. These things are wicked fast and have cut down on load times and offered games to just be so much bigger in scope. The base PS4 was slow because it still utilized spinning disk hard drives, and these speeds of downloads and load times just weren't great because of that. But not only did the speed of storage change things, RAM was increased too. The PS4 didn't have any amount of RAM above 8 gigabytes, and the PS5 has a base of 16. If the Switch 2 can manage to have 16 gigabytes, then it's safe to say that the console is gonna be just fine. Sure, it's not gonna run newer games at the highest graphic settings, but at least it will actually be able to run them. But the scary part is that it might not reach those resolutions. 4K is not just a buzzword anymore. It seems like everyone and their mom has a 4K device, whether that be a TV, a computer monitor, or even just a phone that can shoot 4K video. I mean, I'm shooting this on my phone right now. With the Switch 2, it might be able to run games at 4K, but with an asterisk. The Switch 2 is rumored to be utilizing NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling algorithm. If you don't know what that is, it's the game being rendered at a lower resolution, and then with the use of AI, it upscales it to a higher resolution. This is really helpful for games that are more intense, as rendering them down makes it easier for the game to run. So when you upscale it, you're getting more performance out of it. In its early days, it was used for high-res gaming, when 8K monitors were coming onto the scene, but now it's used even if you might not need to use it. It just offers more performance in games, but the problem is that it's still upscaling. Unlike downscaling, you have to make up for lost information, filling in pixels to make a more complete image. If you're bumping the game up by one resolution, there will be minimum artifacting to the point where it goes unnoticed, but the lower you make the base resolution, the more the details start to disappear. There's a good video showing this off that I'll link in the description. It shows how this can present a lot of artifacting. DLSS 3.5 has shown to be very impressive, but what if it's not implemented right? I know first-party titles will look great, but third-party developers don't have the time or resources to optimize their games for lower-tier hardware. It's why Switch ports either don't exist or don't come out at the same time as every other system. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that third-party support might drop because of this, because if you think about it, if the game is hard to port to lower-tier hardware, that's a lot of work and time that you're putting into it just for a fraction of your audience to play. It's why a lot of PC games don't get ported to Mac. Even if the Switch 2 sells a billion units, I have a hard time seeing that developers are going to take the time and resources to optimize their game for this very niche and tiny piece of hardware. Heck, they barely even do it with the modern consoles we have now. Games are massive in size right now. It won't be long until we see 1 terabyte of storage needed, and I have a feeling that GTA 6 might come close as some kind of flex. This is inherently an optimization issue. Back in the day where storage was as high as this one sheet of paper, I can't fit this render of a cube on there. You had to optimize your game to fit it into these storage requirements, and that meant compression! The DS is a good example on how much compression was needed to fit these games on a tiny cartridge. Super Mario 64 DS is pixelated as hell, and sounds like you put my ear to a cheese grater when you use the characters. Back then, this was noticeable, but nowadays, you wouldn't even tell if a game is compressed. Case in point, any first-party Nintendo game. Mario Odyssey looks amazing, and this is PS3 hardware. That one scene in Origami King, gross, with some of the best-looking water I've ever seen in gaming. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, having over 1,000 songs with almost no loss in quality. It proves that it is really important to do so, but Guardians of the Galaxy is 300 gigabytes. Time to delete my precious family photos just to play the game. You know, everyone's hoping that the first title revealed for this next system is going to be the next 3D Mario, and that'd be great, that'd be amazing, but I'd find it even more impressive if these bigger titles were coming to the system. That is a big concern when it comes to the next console. I feel like third-party support on any Nintendo console has been rough since the N64 days, and it only seems to get worse with each new generation of console. There's literal bloatware on the eShop. But in a way, this isn't the biggest issue. Games are still coming out on the PS4, and games have to be developed with the limitations of the Xbox Series S in mind. All while these new titles still run fine on the Steam Deck with almost no optimization made for it. But the Switch 2 potentially being less powerful than a PS5 gives it a stigma over the internet, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens with developers also. Humans are simple. If it's not the biggest, best, most overpowered thing, it's considered bad no matter how well the games might actually look. But this new console being on the same level as a base PS4 means we get games similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, Elden Ring, Horizon, God of War, The Last of Us. All these games came out during that time, and we'll for sure get games that are at this scale, and we're gonna get it from a company that really knows how to push their own hardware. Metroid Prime 4 might actually look really good in the year 2020. Ultimately, graphics won't matter if there's no games for the damn thing, and this is where I feel Nintendo has a pretty strong foot. How many people own a PS5 right now and have games from that generation exclusive to that console to play? My guess would be little to none. I mean, as much as I want to play Spider-Man 2, dropping almost $600 just to do it makes it not worth it. We're 3 years into the lifespan of this thing, and we got jack shit in terms of games for it. Wait, GTA 6 will come out for it. Well, that makes it 2 games I want. There are a handful of exclusives, but 1, it's a handful. It's not like I'm filling up a shelf with it. And 2, they're putting most of the games on fucking PC. I played Miles Morales on the PC, not the PS4 nor the PS5, on the PC, and it was beautiful up until it crashed every time I died. At least with Nintendo, there's no way you're playing an official version on other hardware, and they actually make more than 2 games a year for their own console. Yeah, my Switch collection isn't huge, and neither is my PS4 collection or my inevitable PS5 collection. But at least games are coming out for the thing, and at least these are games that show style and fun. I feel like every PS5 exclusive besides Ratchet & Clank looks like the next cinematic masterpiece, and yes, that's a bad thing. They all kind of blend together, and at this point, I just don't care for realism in games. Nintendo has been treating their first-party IPs right. Sure, there's no F-Zero or Star Fox, but from Mario, Zelda, Metroid, and not you, the amount of games and content we got was insane. We got got Pikmin 4 for crying out loud! And what might just be the last of the Switch titles looks to keep up this trend. The Mario RPG remake was incredible. The Thousand Year Door remake looks outstanding, and this pattern doesn't seem to be slowing down. I feel like the later half of the Switch's lifespan has been catered to really giving people what they want, even if they don't think they wanted it. When it comes time for the next console, instead of remakes, we might actually see new games using these formulas. But it's all speculation at the end of the day. The discourse of what this console might be is all up in the air until Nintendo actually reveals it.
People were talking about a successor to the Switch like 3 years into its lifespan because this thing was a great step in the right direction, but it always felt like it came late to the party in terms of power and hardware. And people were surprised when we never got a beefed up model of this thing. And it makes sense. It's like the one thing people criticize the Switch for. So I can see why the rumors that it might not be as powerful can raise some concern.
But ultimately, I think whatever does come next, it shouldn't be more than what the rumors have given us. Yeah, it'd be great if it could do 4K 60 frames comparable to the PS5, but Nintendo has never really been about that. Nintendo has always been about making games fun to play and not trying to make it so you can count every single hair follicle on a person's head. I think the Switch really embodies that side of Nintendo, and I think if they were able to be this popular, it'd be silly to try to do something different. If the console is a hybrid system, if it can run newer titles, and if developers can put their games on it with less hassle, then I think the Switch 2, or whatever they decide to call it, will be a great experience.
Will it be the best experience? No. I feel like the competition is always going to have a leg up on Nintendo when it comes to their graphics and overall presentation of their games. But I think where the other systems lack, like good UI, exclusives, games optimized for the hardware, Nintendo more than makes up for it. And I only say this because while the Switch's lifespan has been a confusing one to say the least, at least it's been a console that I felt I got my money's worth out of. And it was the last console I bought where I really felt that.
But you still like me, right, Father?
No, I don't. I only like Nintendo. If it's not Nintendo, then it's not good. Yep, that was the real point of this video. Fuck you.
Don't take that seriously. That was obviously a joke.